This upcoming stream is free, and we welcome any donations you'd like to contribute to Eth-Non-Tec, a nonprofit arts organization. For your support helps us reach tens of thousands of families across the country and beyond, both on the stage and online streaming.
So, why handle with care Earth? Well, Eth-Non-Tec also always asks our guests what they want to tell and why. And then the theme comes through. And not only Linda, but we were also feeling the weight of all these times, but particularly the climate change. We wanted to address climate change through story and conversation in a way that will move us toward a healthy and mutual relationship with our planet. With so many irregularities going on in this country, the environment seems to have taken a backseat to COVID, to the ugly politics, to wars around the world. But talk with those who are experiencing the effects of global climate change, and it is not the backseat. Floods, the rising seas, famines, droughts, fires, whole communities destroyed. It's as if the four horses of the apocalypse, plague, famine, war, and death, are being driven by the mass driver climate change and his whip ready to strike over and over again. And that chariot, led by those horses, is driving right down our streets. So, to begin with, we'd like to tell a story. So while we get ready to move our stools.
For those of you who are new to Eth-Non-Tec audience, Eth-Non-Tec shows, our stories are traditional stories that we've adapted, and we look through the story to find out there's some meaning. Sometimes they're creation myths, sometimes they're joke stories, but this one really hit home for us about the human impact in the biosphere.
It's a cautionary tale.
And so
we begin.
A story from Cambodia.
Wait, so I'm here, you're there, but it looks like
they're there.
I'm off.
Hang on, more low tech. How's that?
That's good. All right.
And now, the story from Cambodia, the Hmong people, a story called
Trouble Talk. Puata-oo-ah.
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 Once upon a time, as the Hmong people of Cambodia tell it,
Tu Chang Chang,
the heavens created everything.
And when Tu Chang Chang, the heavens created everything, why, all living things could talk with all other living things. There was only one talk, and the talk was good.
There was, however, one creature who was very different. No fangs, no feathers, no claws, no wings. Walking on two legs with this crazy ego thing.
Look at me. I can walk, I can run, I can jump, I can dance.
One day, you guessed it, human was walking down by the river when he met up with Mr. Fish.
Say, Mr. Fish, look at me, I can walk. What can you do?
I can swim.
Oh, I bet I could do that too.
Oh, you think so?
Well, after all, I am human, the most powerful creature.
Oh, yo. Trouble talk.
Say, Mr. Fish, I bet that I could, I could swim better than you could walk.
Oh, yeah? I bet I can walk better than you can swim.
Let's have a little contest. If I can swim,
if I can walk better than you,
I get to eat.
I get to eat.
All the fish.
All the humans I want.
Splash!
The contest was on. Human plunged in the river and human could swim. Side stroke, backstroke, front stroke, but all the while, fish swam circles around human, just bubbling with laughter. You call that swimming? Watch this. It's my turn to walk.
And indeed, fish leaped out of the water, landed on the ground, stood on his own two hind fins, and
gasping at the gills, for he was truly a fish out of
water. You see, Mr. Fish, from now on we get to eat all the fish we want.
And unfortunately, they do.
You see, I am more powerful than you.
Oyo, trouble talk. Trouble talk was spoken in paradise for the very first time. Now it just so happened that Bird saw the whole thing.
Oh, silly human. Stupid fish. Do they not know what real power is? After all, look at me. I can fly. And that makes me more powerful than, you, tiger.
Nonsense. My powerful jaws, my claws, my fangs. I am the most powerful creature here. Let's have a little contest.
Do you see that tree over there?
Indeed, there was a tree rooted deep in the earth with towering tall branches.
A little contest to see who can make that tree move.
Whoever wins gets to bite off the other's tail. I'll go first.
So, Tiger charged at the tree. He clawed at the bark. He tried to make that tree move, but...
The tree stood absolutely still.
My turn.
Tweeted the bird.
My turn.
And the tiny little bird flitted to the top of that tall tree and landed ever so lightly upon the tiniest of twigs. That tiny little bird began to bounce. The twig it perched on it began to bounce. Nearby twigs and branches, they began to bounce and swing and sway, and soon the entire tree was swaying, swinging, bouncing up and down, all because of a little bird bouncing lightly upon the tiniest of twigs.
You see, you better watch out for me.
Tiger lost the contest, and that's why to this very day, whenever you see a tiger prowling about in an open field of grass,
The tiger crouches down really low to the ground.
and that's because he's actually hiding from Bird, and he also tucks his tail between his legs for fear the bird might swoop down and peck off his tail.
You see, I am more powerful than you.
Oy-oh, trouble talk, trouble talk, trouble talk. Soon all the creatures, big and small, were talking trouble.
Faster,
Bigger,
stronger.
I'm more powerful than
you. Suddenly,
Excuse me.
it's two-legged, picking his teeth with a fishbone.
You want power? I'll show you power.
You puny human!
Oh, meet me up on top of the hill tomorrow morning and I'll show you what real power is.
Oh, the animals were hysterical at the thought of puny two-legs showing them power. But they were curious. And so, one by one, the animals gathered at the top of that grassy hill at the break of dawn. And just as the morning light spread across the mountain jungles, and just as a blue cloud rolled across the sky and the jungle flowers sent their fragrance in the air, a breeze wafted off the rainforest, and the animals gathered at that hill and they gazed out upon the splendor of nature. It was so peaceful. It was so beautiful that for one brief moment the animals stopped their bragging, their boasting, their arguing, and they remembered, oh, we truly live in a peaceful world. When suddenly there was a sound. Human, clicking two stones and blowing on a pile of dry grass, sparkling lights, red, yellow, plumes of smoke swirling up. What kind of power is this? The animals had never seen this kind of power before. Oh, the beautiful lights, the sparkling lights were pretty. They were bright. They were warm. And then Human clicked the stones on the dry grass around that grassy hill, and the sparkling lights grew brighter and taller, then hotter and taller, soon horribly hot. Fire! The flames swept across the rainforest.
And the animals fled in terror, and the world burned and burned and burned.
To Chang-Chang, the heavens sent the rains to quell the flames, and the clouds to cool the earth.
All the animals gathered in shame, for they had destroyed paradise. They had destroyed their only world. Oh, they had all escaped without harm, but they had been changed forever.
Though the deer were quick, and though they leaped through the smoke first, their coats were now tanned brown by the intense heat of the fire.
Forever to this day. And the elephants charged through the flames. And their once long hair was singed short, and their skin left dry and cracked. Forever to this day. And the tigers slammed against the burning bamboo trees.
That's why tigers are charred black with stripes.
Forever to this day. To Chang-Chang, the heavens spoke.
Your charred bodies, your scars, and the wounds of your stripes will forever be a painful reminder of your foolish talk.
And with a heavenly sigh, to Chang-Chang, the heavens returned paradise with us, gave us another chance, and once again all living things could talk with all other living things. There was only one talk, and the talk was good. Except
all creatures from now on stay clear away from human. For human, your talk has been most troubling of all. And human, you will suffer great loneliness in this world until you understand what real power is. Forever to this day. Only one, lonely one. What have you done, lonely one? Only one, lonely one. What have we done, lonely one?
we wonder where we've all come from. We wonder who we will become. Thank you, thank you. That is one of our favorite stories because it's so old, 100,000 maybe years old, and even then, it is man, it is human. We know who we are, but where are we going? It is said that we cannot reverse any damage that's already happened, but we can do something to stop further damage. But we only have 11 years to do it. 11 years. Otherwise, they warn a world of high blistering temperatures, food scarcity, water scarcity, fires and plagues, what our children and their children will have to live in. And it will not be reversible. It will be the norm. So, this story, Robert, you are the one that finds our stories, our myths and folk tales. And if I also like it, we begin to process the understanding of it, expanding it, and writing it. What attracted you to you to this story?
Well, in the premise of it, you know, the different animals in the biosphere, each has their talent, their skills. You know, sometimes some people say that in nature there's naturally competition. Humans, of course, are well known for that, and so also humans are so anthropocentric. They think that humans are the center of the universe, and so we forget that. I mean, we have forgotten that we are actually part of a life web, of a biosphere of many different organisms that depend on each other to thrive and sustain. From the smallest, you know, tardigrade or microscopic animal to the largest, the blue whales. So,
But in this story, it was about competition.
right.
So, for who could be the most powerful? How do you see that working today?
Well, I think partly that we've known about the climate impact. We, meaning modern society, has been dealing with or talking about it for decades. But why are the big, powerful influences in the countries not doing it? Because of money. They said, "Well, we'll change to sustainable, but we got to make our money first," and time's running out. And so the story really talks about what would be the effect if we just think about, you know, just that selfish need.
Yeah, because the line is that we put in is you will not understand, you'll not be able to be one with nature until you understand what real power is.
Yeah.
So the real power is
Is just a love for nature and a respect for it, and something that where we see ourselves in relationship equal to that microscopic bacteria, not better than.
yeah, and for me, it is one of my favorite stories, and it is because it really speaks to what's going on today and has been going on for a while. I am a terrorist recycler. I will go into our own garbage can and see who's put in what wrong, and I will move it to the right place. So, in preparing for this evening, I began to Google what's new in climate change. So, this is what I found. I put it all together, and I'm going to share that with you now as a screen share of what's going on.
I think you can see. Can you all see this one? Wave your hand if you can see what I see. Oh, good. There we go. Steep temperature rise.
Yeah, we're going to let you see it and read it and feel it. Oh, okay. So it is us, it is we humans, just like in the story. And, different countries are doing a lot, but it turns out that it's not enough to outpace the changes that are happening faster than they projected. So I got so depressed. And I had to find where's the hope? What are the solutions? What's the opportunity? And so, thank goodness for Linda Yemoto. So, I would like you to welcome Linda, who is our Eth-No-Tec guest, good friend, naturalist, and storyteller who co produced the Bay Area Storytelling Festival for 30 years and recently has rebirthed it and was co chair of Earth Up in 2021 for NSN, the National Storytelling Network, a festival of environmental stories by storytellers across the country and around the world. It's our honor to share Linda with you all. Linda.
Thank you, Nancy and Robert. Thank you for inviting me. Once there was a cupboard made entirely of glass, and so you could look in it and through it. And even though it looked as if it were always empty, you could in fact take anything you wanted from that glass cupboard. If you were hot and thirsty, you could open up the cupboard and take out a tall glass of something cool to drink. If you needed a new pair of shoes, you could reach in and pull out a new pair of shoes. You could even take out a bag of gold. But each time you took something out of the glass cupboard, you had to put something else back in, although nobody quite knew why. Naturally, such a valuable and magical object as this glass cupboard belonged to a rich and powerful king. But one day the king had to go on a long journey, and when he was gone, 3 robbers broke into the castle, stole the glass cupboard, and took it back to their hiding place deep in the woods. Now we can have anything we want. Well, said the first robber, I want a bag of gold. So he opened up the cupboard and he took out a bag of gold. Well, said the second robber, I want a larger bag of gold. So he reached and pulled out a larger bag of gold. And the chief robber? Well, I want a bigger bag yet of gold. And so he reached in and pulled out a bigger bag yet of gold. And so it went all that night, the robbers taking bag after bag of gold out of that glass cupboard. But not once did one of those robbers put anything back into the cupboard. Well, the sun began to rise, and the chief robber said, soon we will be the 3 richest men in the world, but let us get some sleep, and tonight, when it's dark, we'll pull out more gold. So each of the robbers went to bed. But the first robber was tossing and turning with excitement of getting so rich. Oh, I just need one more bag of gold, and then I'll be able to sleep. So he snuck over to the glass cupboard and took out another bag of gold, went back to bed. The second robber thought, while those other 2 are sleeping, I think I'll just get 2 more bags of gold. So he snuck over, got 2 more bags of gold out, went to bed. And of course, the chief of the robbers couldn't sleep either. I'm the chief. I should be the richest. I'll go get 3 more bags of gold while they're sleeping. He snuck over, pulled out 3 more bags of gold, and went to bed. But the first robber could not sleep. He's tossing and turning, and then he thought, what am I doing sleeping when I could be getting richer? So he ran out of the cupboard and began to pull more bags of gold out. Well, the second robber heard him and thought, what is he doing? He's going to get richer than me. And so he ran over, joined his companion, pulling out bags of gold. And of course, the chief of the robbers heard them both. What? They can't get richer than me. So pretty soon, all 3 robbers are back at it, pulling bag after bag of gold from that glass cupboard. All that day and all that night, they dare not stop for fear that the other 2 would get richer than they. All the next day, all the next night, they continued. All that week, all the next week, they were growing faint from lack of sleep and drink and food, but still they couldn't stop. Faster and faster they pulled out those bags of gold, all that month, all that winter, until the chief robber was half crazed, and he picked up a hammer and he smashed the glass cupboard into 1,000,000 pieces. The 3 robbers all gave out a great sigh and fell down dead on the mountain of gold that they had taken from that glass cupboard. Not long after, the king returned from his journey. His servants fell to their knees. Your Majesty, forgive us. While you were gone, 3 robbers stole the glass cupboard. So the king sent out his servants and his soldiers all throughout the land, searching for the glass cupboard. when they came upon the hideout and they saw what had happened to the glass cupboard and the three robbers, it took them 60 large carts to carry all that gold back to the king. And when he heard what had happened, if those three robbers had only put something back into the glass cupboard for every bag of gold they took out, they would still be alive today. He instructed his servants to gather up all the bits of glass from that glass cupboard. He had it melted down and reformed into a globe with all the countries of the world upon it. And he had that globe taken throughout his kingdom to remind himself and everyone else that the earth is as fragile as that glass cupboard. Thank you. That was my slide adaptation from The Glass Cupboard, written by Terry Jones of Monty Python fame.
Great. Thank you, Linda. Yes, so apropos of what's happening on Earth, the taking, the need for a mutual relationship. So, why did you choose this story, Linda?
You know, I first heard this story probably about the time he published it in the early 80s, and I was a naturalist. So I used it in a lot of my programs back then. And to find that it's still appropriate today, how many years later, it's pretty amazing. You know.
Yes, yes. Well, so being a naturalist, obviously that's part of who you are. It's one of your passions. Can you tell us a little bit more about what your passion is and what you see your mission in life is, and then how storytelling fits into that?
Yeah, you know, I was a naturalist for almost 40 years. And you find that it's not just, you know, it's kind of like being a storyteller. It's not just a vocation, you know, it becomes who you are. It becomes a way of life. It just infuses everything about yourself. And so I find that since I retired from being a naturalist, I still have all those kinds of lessons and thoughts and things I learned as a naturalist. And now it really infuses just about all the storytelling I do. You know how I like to bring in some natural history into the stories that I'm telling, and I sort of teach people at the same time.
Even uh, frogs that jump out at the screen, it's the origami frogs. Right. So as a naturalist, and you worked at the park in Berkeley called the
Tilden Park,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
part of the East Bay Regional Park District.
Right, right. And you have fascinating stories about the things that happened there. But what tell me what you feel right now is the most important thing to you.
You know, really, it really is climate change, because I know that there's been this argument about, you know, well, we can't deal with climate change because we have to worry about the economy. But really, if we don't get a handle on the climate crisis, there's like no economy to worry about. It's just going to be down the drain. So to me, it is the number one thing to be concerned with. But what I wanted to tell everyone is that I know that looking at that list that Nancy gave us and seeing the articles and, you know, hearing the news, it gets so depressing. But we found that, you know, you can't just keep hitting people with doom and gloom, because it really makes us numb. It makes us not want to hear about any of these problems. We don't want to deal with it, you know. And so I've been looking for, well, what does work, right? And what works is to have hope. And part of the way that you have hope is that you treat well, there's a study about kindness, which I thought was so interesting in terms of how to deal with the climate crisis and the depression that that can bring on. And they divided the group into four, and each one, like the first group, was told to do acts of kindness for themselves. So kindness toward yourself. The second group was to do acts of kindness toward their immediate family and close friends. The third group for acquaintances. And the fourth group didn't do actually any acts of kindness, but they were to look for acts of kindness, either on the web or in their daily life. And they found that all four groups, after practicing these acts of kindness, had a better feeling about themselves, about feeling more optimistic, feeling less depressed. So I thought, wow, that is so good. And I think one of the best ways of being kind to yourself is to practice forest bathing, which is called shinrin, which means forest, yoku, which means bathing or showering. And a physician at Nippon University Medical School did this big study in 24 different places in Japan, and found that when people spend time in the forest, and what it means by forest bathing doesn't mean taking a bath in the forest, but sort of, it means letting the atmosphere of the forest pour through you like a shower, like a bath. So you use all your senses, so that you go and you touch the trees and the leaves, you smell things. And the idea is it's not jogging, it's not hiking, it's not exercise. It's just simply being easily, quietly in the forest. And the people that they studied that did this, let me find the differences that it made. And they did the actual saliva tests, and they did blood pressure and other things. It said reduce blood pressure, reduce the stress hormone cortisol, reduce blood sugar levels, lifted depression, improve quality of sleep, improve their memory, improve the ability to concentrate, boosted their immune system, and increased their energy.
Wow.
So,
That's healthy.
if that
Wow.
doesn't convince you to get out into nature, it doesn't have to be a forest. They said forest is like the ideal, and the more time you can spend, the better, because the trees are giving off oils that they use to repel insects and disease, but those oils actually enhance our immune system too.
Wow.
So trees are the best, but if you can't get a forest, go to a park. If you can't get a park, at least go out into a garden area. Even if you only can look at pictures of nature, it's better than not.
Yeah, there are lakes and rivers and the ocean and mountains. Everyone has their favorite place to be that gives them the feeling you're talking about.
And when you think about being peaceful, being satisfied, like there's no driving to get something as if you don't have what you need, that's the whole point of consumerism. Whereas at the opposite, sitting in the forest and just accepting things, accepting beingness, that's like you don't need anything else. And it's such opposite of consumer capitalism, which is why when you think about the economy, we've got geared everything so that we consumers think, oh, I need to get that new thing. I need to look like that and buy that shirt or that car.
And that disappears when you're in the forest. Disappears when you're at the ocean. Nature is right there for us, and it's so hard when you live in an urban environment or suburban environment. Although suburbs have more trees, I was told, for example, by a Chinese healer to go and hug a huge pine tree. And I went, why pine? He said, because there's something in the pine tree that's negative for it, but positive for us. And what's negative for us is positive for them. And he wasn't talking about the oxygen and the.
Yeah, he's talking about phytoncides. That's the oil that the trees, that's what we're smelling when we're going into a forest.
Oh, I love the smell of it. So I went around and I tried hugging all the other trees, and just because I couldn't find the pine tree at first, and I felt nothing. And then I finally found a pine tree, and I hugged it, and all this energy stuff went back and forth like proof. It was amazing. So, nature is a gift. And we are part of it. And if we can love ourselves the way we can love nature.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Now, I'm hoping that you all will be getting this big long page of resources that we put together for you. And I know that Fran is here tonight, so maybe later on she might be willing to talk about the group that we formed after Earth Up. It's a discussion group, and we share stories, and we have a book club. And the book that we just read, oh darn, that's not going to show. It's called Hope Matters. Hold on.
Bye.
Why by Ellen Kelsey. Why changing the way we think is critical to solving the environmental crisis. And one of the things that she emphasizes in here is the future has not been written. It is not too late. And in this list of resources, I give you some really wonderful organizations that you can look into, and also a link for that clearly explains the climate crisis, the problems, and the solutions in 6 easy short videos, like they're between 10 and 15 minutes long. But one of the things that you can do, because we're going to go into breakout groups soon, right, Nancy?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about, what can we each possibly do? Because yes, industry has to play a part, and government has to play a part, but we as individuals also have a role to play. And one of the easiest things you could do is, I think Rupa, she may have put it in or will put it in. It's called Ecosia, ECOSIA, and it's a free, not web page, a search engine. And every time you go to do searches, after 45 searches, they will plant a tree. And there's a running thing that shows you how many trees are being planted just from using this search engine. And it's really good. I've been using it. It's very effective, and it gets you away from Google and all that stuff.
And it's in the chat, right?
I think Rupa was going to put the
Rupa
link
probably
in the
put
chat.
it in the chat.
And
Yeah.
same with the book and that title.
And also, can you say the name of the forest bathing again?
In
Let me
Japanese,
say it in Japanese. Yeah.
Shinrin Yoku. Shinrin, Shinrin, which means forest,
Xing
and Yoku, Yoku, Yoku. The
Yoku.
showering, bathing part. Shinrin Yoku.
So everyone say that. Shiling
Yoku.
Yoku. Yeah. We can use that for sure. So yes, now it is time for all of you to share what you are already doing. And like some of you, I eat less meat. I haven't traveled by air in 3 years. I have solar. I've been driving a Prius since 2001. I bought electric recently, a used electric Fiat. I line dry clothes. I buy veggies and all that, not in plastic bag or in a container. I cut down on plastic, period. And I know there's still more I can do. And I do more, and I'm sure you do too. So now you will have the choice to go into a breakout room. In your breakout rooms, please share what you love about Earth's beauty, forests, rivers, the mountains, the oceans, what you are already doing to save Earth's amazing variety of beings, of what is good and kind and brilliant and wise and full of life here on Earth. Then what more you are willing to commit to. In other words, to up the ante. So the break rooms will be in threes, and and it'll be for 15 minutes. So please keep your video on so you can see who you're talking with. We also might end up moving some of you to make sure there are 3 to a room. And Robin has just posted what
The breakout room theme will be. So introduce yourself really quickly. What places in nature inspire you and why? And third, what are you currently doing to combat climate change? And what more can you do what more can you commit to doing?
So Arupa, or Sarah, is going to now put you into breakout rooms. So we'll see you in 15 minutes.
Well,
Okay, is everyone back? We don't know.
Welcome back, folks. Here we are, Cyberland. Keep it green.
So here's a time. I hope all of you had a wonderful experience in your breakout rooms. And I would love now for anybody who wants to say something about what you experienced, what you learned,
New ideas.
new ideas for the rest of us if we weren't in your group. So you can all unmute yourselves. And I think usually people who come to our events know when to speak and when not to speak. So let someone else speak and then you speak.
Share.
But please, I'm going to put you on let's see,
Gallery.
gallery view so we can see all
Okay.
of you. And please speak.
I'll unmute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure the dog's outside. Right. Turn off the fans.
So no one?
Oh, there's yeah.
Oh.
There's some.
I can say something.
Sure.
I'm not shy.
Sorry.
My main activity is I'm working to elect progressives to the government at all levels because I think they're more likely to support climate change. I'm thrilled with the recent bill that passed. I now can sleep a little easier. The inflation bill that's putting billions into climate change, finally. I think that's great. Personally, I think the thing that I love to travel, and I haven't been as good as possible about doing the carbon offsets for my travel. So that's one thing I can do. One thing I could mention to the group is that, some of us are old enough to have required minimum contributions at 72. And I take that money, instead of taking it, I just give it to various organizations. Half of them are environmental ones. And that way you're not paying tax on it. It's just a straight donation. So that's something people could think about if you're interested.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
very much. Yeah. Thanks. Someone else?
Fran has her hand raised.
Fran, I can't see.
No, my group people told me that I should speak. One of the things that we discussed was that many of the individual actions we take we're able to do because of being in a privileged position, like cooking our own food from scratch. People who live in food deserts may not be able to get fresh food and be stuck with the processed stuff. And if they're living in their car, they can't cook it. We encountered that working with our farmers market. So that was something that we thought about for a while.
Wow, that's so true. We are very privileged. We are so privileged.
And that's
Fran?
where
So that's all the more reason to do as much as we can, of course, but
And also we're the ones that are causing it more than
well,
first world.
true, so we
first
should
world,
be
right?
more aware. And we also thinking about the big picture and voting and lobbying as much as we can and so forth. We also discussed right at the end that the individual things like picking up litter and so forth may seem so small that sometimes people say, why do you bother with that? That's a waste of time and energy. And I suggested that we do it to keep reminding ourselves.
Yeah, it's a frame of mind, isn't it? It's not about how small or how big. It's a frame of mind. If you can just live in that whole, that this is our precious world and I need to be aware of that and be part of it to keep it pure and clean and healthy.
While Fran is still there, Fran, you want to tell them about the Eco-Tellers group?
Oh, sure. At the end
Wait,
of the
Fran, can you get closer to the mic or something?
Sure. Okay.
Great.
At the end of Earth Up, which was in April, and Linda and I co-chaired that. There were so many people worldwide who were really excited and full of energy and wanted to stay in touch. And so with help from NSN's wizard, Danny Altman, I started a listserv called Eco-Tellers. And we use it to keep in touch with each other, ask questions, ask for suggestions, and so forth, spread the word about something. And also we use it to invite each other to things like the discussion of the book Hope Matters that Linda mentioned. Carol, anyway, can't remember last name, did the book discussion last Tuesday. And each month I also sponsor story swaps where you can just practice a story that you're working on or invite input about the way you're telling it or the scientific background or something. So those are really, they're not performances, they're working groups. And so I can put in the chat the information about how to join the listserv, and that's the way to find out when the next swap will be for September and what book we'll be discussing next.
Great, great.
Right.
Thank you, Fran.
Thank you.
Great. Other comments, ideas, things you've discovered on this topic? Don't be shy.
I just wonder, Donna, if you might want to share what you were explaining to Jody and me about the credit card situation.
Yeah, there, many of you have probably heard of Bill McKibben, who's really a climate change pioneer and spokesperson. And he himself is getting older now, like many of us. And he has this thing now, I just looked it up. I thought it was third stage, but it's third act. And it's to try to do things that people in our age group who can't necessarily march or do, some of the other things. And the big thing that he's planning on doing later this year is having, he hopes, I'm sure, millions of people get rid of the credit cards. There's 3 big credit cards that probably are the ones that many of us have that are ecologically dirty, let's say climate change dirty, and instead get one that that has a better record and isn't in bed with the fossil fuel companies.
Right.
It's called Third Act, and you can Google. I just did it on my phone. You can Google Bill McKibben, McKibben, and you can also say Third Act.
Right.
Great.
Can you
Great.
type that in the chat too, so we have a flow of that?
I don't know how to put things in the chat.
Okay,
Wait, here's chat. Let me see.
That's it.
Click on chat.
Okay.
Click on
all right.
chat. Yeah.
I'm in the process of doing that. I've got it almost typed in.
Pardon me?
Oh. Someone else has almost typed it all in.
It's okay, Donna, someone's got it.
Okay.
I'm doing it.
She's learned something new.
There you
Yay.
But
Yeah.
now how do I make it go in there?
Push return or
Or
enter.
enter.
Yeah,
Oh, I
enter.
There we go.
Just type it in where it says,
I did. I think it came up, right?
and then click
Yes.
Oh, I
return.
see. Someone else
on
did it
your-
too.
on your
I see. So
computer.
it's in there twice.
It's
Okay.
there.
Good. Yay.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna. All right. More things, more inspirations.
Sharon Abreu, you and Michael
Michael.
Hurwitz are on Orcas Island, and you have an organization that's totally dedicated to the environment. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Tell us about Earthlings.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot, Nancy.
Of course. You came to the right
This is
spot.
my arm. Okay. Well, my partner Michael Hurwitz and I were doing environmental education through Hudson River, not through her, well, sort of through Hudson River Sloop Clearwater in New York in the late 90s, and then we moved out to live in his house on Orcas Island. and we started our own nonprofit out here called Earthlings. And I'll put the URL in the chat because we have to spell it a weird way in order to get a website.
Ah,
So the thing about Clearwater, and it's a thing for us too, is that you want to use celebration. Celebration really brings people in, and that's also the energy from which we need to come from if we're going to solve these problems. Just having a high vibrational energy and connecting with people and empowering people, because it's real easy to get depressed. It's really easy to get exhausted and drained. And I go through periods where that happens, and then I'm like, okay, enough of that. And so we've used music and theater, multimedia. We've been doing that for 20 years now. This is our 20th anniversary season. And just trying to help people, to inspire and empower people to put themselves in the picture of becoming part of the solution. And a lot of that is reconnecting us to this planet that supports our lives. And we've so much lost the connection with that.
Yeah.
And you have original songs that are about the environment, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. We'll sing about anything.
Yeah.
We
Good.
sing about climate change. We sing about sea slugs and whatever, we love it all.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon.
And people can look up her webpage and see what she's doing.
And her beautiful voice.
Oh my God, a beautiful voice. So what we know is that
Nancy,
yes.
Prakati had her hand up before.
Oh, please.
Oh, that's okay. I just wanted to share that this entire session was very magical for me, and I believe I was destined to attend this session because I just saw it in the afternoon and I quickly registered for it. And when I came, I realized that so much is going on. People are doing so much, and I always have this thing that okay, I will reach this place and then I will do it. But I think wherever you are, you can do your bit. So I'm very inspired, and surely I'm gonna do some nice and good things for the environment, and then update you guys so that you know that I also made a tiny bit of difference.
Yes.
Prakati, can you share the quote that Mahatma Gandhi's quote? Do you remember it? That you shared?
Yes.
This is the book. Good.
Yes, the quote is that the world has everything for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed.
Yes. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Where are you based, Prakati? Where's home?
Right now, I am in Kitty Mart in BC, in British Columbia.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I am pretty much secluded from the storytelling community, but I am hoping that I create a storytelling community in Kitty Mart. And I feel that there is a lot of environmental things that I can bring in here. I see Walmart having plastic bags for groceries. So that is something, at least I'm proud to say that Indians are ahead. We are using brown paper bags for the groceries. So that is what I am first trying to do. I'm going to talk and see if they would agree to keep the paper bags.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, every little bit counts. And as Linda and we were talking, some people don't think, oh, what that little thing I do, well, how does it make a difference? And as we talked with Fran, it's a frame of mind. You don't know if it's going to make a difference. You do know that if you do something, it's like that butterfly effect that, when something flaps here, you don't know what's flapping on the other side of the world. And things just start to, what space and time is not what we think it is. Yeah. So what you do does matter. And it's, and as Linda says, it becomes a trend. And then the trends become what corporations have to respond to.
Yeah, in the natural world, there's mycelium, the small like fungal strands that can permeate an entire forest, and there's communication that goes on. Even though these are very microscopic filaments, they can
talk
send
to each
they
other.
talk to each other. So if we think of
For
ourselves,
miles.
yeah, we think ourselves as that mycelium. We need to keep growing that network of consciousness to affect all the fabric there.
Okay, so if no one has anything else to say, we have another
Wait,
story from. Oh,
Nancy, there's
Sarah?
a couple. Sarah
I'm so
and
sorry, I
PJ.
cannot see.
Oh.
Can you do gallery again?
Okay.
Yeah, Sarah and PJ both have their hands up.
Okay, why don't you go ahead, PJ?
Okay.
Oh, thank you very much for all this. I think it is the way I am contributing right now is more of a consciousness raising and practicing within myself as well. I shared with my group that I go every week downtown San Jose, Japantown, and there's this huge, huge redwood tree that has so much history and wisdom, and that we are collectively coming together. There's anywhere from 2 to 4 people, and how we see our connection, and it's healing, shifting energy, connecting, and feeling that we are the tree, and feeling the mycelium and also that root system going around the world, and that we are kind of in that bond of communication. And I that's all I'll share right now, because I want to hear the story too, and let Sarah go too.
No, that's.
Well, I need to say something. VJ is a dear friend of ours, and she is one of the co-founders of the San Jose Taiko group. And music and rhythm and heartbeat and connection and building community is in the soul of her and Roy's work. And the idea that the drum is the heartbeat. And so we think about the heartbeat of all of us with the many cultures and languages and art forms. We need to keep building that life-affirming rhythm that's part of it, including the environmental movement and inspiring people that way. So thank you for being part of this, PJ.
Yeah.
We love you. We love you.
But before, okay, Sarah.
I'll try to be very fast. Sharon and I were in the same group, and we discovered that Sharon talked to all of us about the Clearwater and Pete Seeger and how that idea of integrating education and activism and joy and celebration and music, all of that together. And I told her that my parents in Albany, New York, were some of the people who originally got the Clearwater going, with Pete Seeger inspiring them. And my sister had crewed on the Clearwater. And my husband and I went every year to the Revivals Festival.
Oh, nice. Lucky you.
It's so exciting to hear Sharon tell of how experiencing what the Clearwater was doing on the East Coast then created a whole momentum. It's sort of like your butterfly, but a very, very strong butterfly. When you think about Pete Seeger, he's a huge butterfly.
Yeah. Great.
Nope,
Thank you,
she's
Sarah.
muted.
Or did you?
Yeah.
Did we lose you?
She's muted. Sarah, anymore? You got muted there somehow.
I muted myself. I'm done.
Oh, all
Okay.
right. Okay.
Thank you,
All
Sarah.
right. Is there anyone else? I'm sorry. I'm so blind without my glasses.
No, you're good.
Okay. So before we end with the last story, I want to thank you, Linda, and Sarah and Rupa, and also announce next month's, which we're going to roast Robert, because it's his 69th birthday, meaning he's leaving the 60s and entering his 70s. So if you have a very particular story
Or embarrassing one.
that you would like to share
I can take it.
about Robert,
Roast and toast.
this is where you'll do it next month.
Yeah.
I think it's September. Oh, I didn't put the number down. I think it's
29th.
28th or 29th.
The last Thursday of the
There's
month.
there's some.
Yeah.
So you'll get our information.
Yeah, and make sure if you caught this serendipitously and didn't get the usual announcement, put your email in the chat, and we can make sure to keep you on the.
Yeah,
the
I think in
invite.
registration they have to do that anyway, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So again, before we end with Robert's wonderful story, I just want to say that if you want to donate, Sarah was going to do that, but I'll just do it, Sarah. Please do, because this work we feel is it's a calling for us. I mean, obviously it's storytelling, but we also want to use storytelling for social justice, for the environment, for what's going on, the issues that are really important to us as human beings right now in the world.
Yeah, for 41
So-
years, we've been doing this work in communities, in correctional facilities, hospitals, festivals, and schools all over the place.
And we don't want to stop, even though we're getting old,
Right.
because there's so much to do. And we
Culture,
really hope that this evening, this small event, has helped us all realize we can and must take big measures in our own lives, moment to moment, that will make a difference, and to commit to doing more, not only for ourselves, but for our families, for our future, and that you choose the stories that make a difference. Stories about the environment, people you know who are have lost their homes in a fire or a flood. Tell those stories. Communities that have been completely had to be moved because of the rising seas. Tell those stories.
Or stories where people have pulled together their collective energy to make a difference.
And folktales and myths about the environment. Tell those stories. Go and be in nature and tell those stories. Share how wonderful we humans can be and that we are worth saving. And I really had to feel how to balance sounding the alarm, because it's so easy to be blind as in the United States to what's happening in the rest of the world, or even in different parts of our own country. And then also giving hope and giving the chance for people to know that their solutions count.
Yeah, we didn't want to sound the alarm like, "Bling!" But it's sort of like your smartphone has those gentle
Little
chimes.
ding dong.
Yeah, just like wake up, people, and turn it up a little louder than usual.
Yes, please become connected to each other. Find your spiritual heart so that it feeds us all as we confront this crisis.
Together.
We can do it. And now,
So to do this, we go on the website. Is that right?
to do
Make
what?
a donation for today.
Yes, it'll be in the chat. It's basically our website, www.ethno-tech.org/donate.
The address will be in the chat.
Yes, it's Rupa's going to be putting it in.
All right.
But in the meantime, this story is dedicated to all of you, because we know that all of you are doing what it takes and will continue, and also will up the ante.
Yeah, thanks for being our friends. Thanks for spreading the word of good love, power, and friendship. And in fact, this story is about friends. And this story comes from Mongolia. And it's called 4 Wise Friends. 4 friends stood before a tall tree laden with sweet fruit. A dove, coo, coo, coo. A rabbit, a monkey, eep, eep, and an elephant. Now, over the years, these 4 trees watched that tree go taller and taller. Oh, and now, ripened fruit on every branch. Oh, these 4 friends, they looked at it and drooled, staring at that fruit and licking their lips in sweet anticipation. Ooh, 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 who deserves the fruit? Asked the dove. Oh, rabbit and monkey, eep, eep, they chimed in. Well, why not the wisest? Yes, right, the wisest of us. Yes, indeed, the wisest should get the first pick. Indeed, spoke the wise elephant. The wisest one of us should deserve some sweetness in their life. Coo, coo, coo. Oh, that should be me then. I'm wise as well, but I must be the wisest because when I was young, why, I remember those seeds on the ground. I could have easily picked each one of them, eaten all of them, leaving none behind. But, in my wisdom, I knew there must be some left behind for the future. For the future. And behold, where once there was no tree at all, that one seed that was spared grew into a fine tree, bountiful with plenty of fruit. I'd say, I'm the wisest. Therefore, I get the first pick of the fruit. It goes for me. Eep, eep.
Oh, no, 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 no. You, Dove, you are wise indeed. But, however, I remember when it was just a sapling. And even in my impish youth, why, I was wise enough not to climb on its branches. They were few, they were fragile. Surely that young tree would have snapped and died. I'd say, ooh, 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 the first pick of fruit should go to me. I'm the wisest, wouldn't you think? But, Monkey, I knew that tree when it was just a seedling, just barely sprouting out of the ground. Even then, I wisely knew that if I didn't nibble away at the baby shoots and roots, and with patience and time, not only would we enjoy the fruits, but rest under the shade of a tall tree, as we're doing now. Yes, look where we are, keeping cool. Am I not the wisest one? Well, let me think. I must be the wisest. For I'm old enough to remember when that young tree was, well, as tall as me, and I was just a calf, only about this tall. That little sapling was my equal, and I treated it with equal respect. And as it grew, I respected it even more. And even now, I could knock that tree down and grab all the fruit just for me. But I'm still respectful of its grandeur, of my very tall brotherly tree. Now, when all had finished their proposal, it seemed that there was a dilemma. Who was the wisest? Who had spared the tree for future enjoyment? Who would deserve the first of its pick of its sweetest fruit? Now it was true beep, beep, that the smaller creatures, they could easily scamper through the legs of giant elephant if he knocked down that tree and all that fruit. Well, the elephant gathered it up, but those small animals could have grabbed them before the elephant had a chance. Yes, Rabbit was quick. I could do that. Me too. Oh. Well, Monkey, of course, he could have climbed that tree, scampered up there really quick and picked the best fruit just for himself. And Dove, could swiftly fly to the top of that tree, easily picking the sweetest. They all had skills. They all had talents that could have outcompeted each other. But rather than outwit each other, rather than ruin their friendship over fruit, they let the wisdom of their hearts guide their actions. Together they concluded, let us combine our differences, our sizes, our skills, and our shapes so that we will be all benefiting. And so they did, but wisely so. Climbing in order of size, they stacked themselves upwards towards the ripened fruit. Elephant first, followed by Monkey on his back, and Rabbit upon Monkeys, and finally the Dove on the head of Rabbit. Each were able to pass the fruit one by one, sharing it with each other, the sweet harvest, by standing upon the wise shoulders of those beneath them. Elephant, Monkey, Rabbit, Dove, standing so much taller together, standing together. And not only did they harvest more fruit than they could have done singly, there was still plenty more fruit left above for tomorrow. And in their wisdom, they planted not just the seeds for their lifelong friendship, but plenty more seeds for an even longer life of a healthier forest. Four wise friends.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We are really happy that you were with us. And you have our permission to leave. But if you want to stay, we're going to stay on for about 10 more minutes and just chit-chat. So, but thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for making this work.
And thank you, Sarah and Rupa, once again.
Yeah. And Linda.
Linda.
Our solution person. I'm the alarmist and she was the solution. Yay.
All right. Thanks.
So everyone can unmute yourselves.
Unmute yourselves there.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks, Bowen.
Yeah, good to see you, Bowen.
Thanks, Linda. Thanks, Fran. Thanks, Anne. Thanks, everyone who spoke. It was great.
Thank you.